Oh, there it is. Yes, okay. All right, I can draw on this now. All right, and I can trim that part when I'm done. Okay. Um, Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about how to put fractions and decimals and mixed numbers and sometimes improper fractions in order from either least to greatest or greatest to least. I know some of you have been having some trouble with that this week, so I'm going to do some examples from your IXL and try to clear up anything that might be confusing. So I have my orange group here with me today, so you will probably hear some of them giving me feedback as we go over these examples. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This first question says, put these numbers in order from least to greatest. So I have 8 and 9/10. I have 8.5 as a mixed number with a fraction and 8 and 4/10 as a decimal. So I like to first think about what is my mixed number with a fraction going to look like as a decimal. I like to compare decimals to decimals. I find that easier for me to do that when I'm putting things in order. So how would I write 8.5 as a decimal, Kaylee? 8.5. Okay, 8.5. So I can write 8.5 as 8 and 5/10. Okay, we know that 5/10 is equivalent to 1/2. So 8.5 can be written as 8.5 or 8 and 5/10. So now I have three numbers here and they are all the same in the ones place. So I have 8 whole, 8 whole, 8 whole, and I need to just compare the tens place. So which one of these would be the smallest of the bunch? Andrew. Okay, 8 and 4/10 is going to be the smallest. And again, sometimes I also like to think of my decimals as money. So if I had, for example, 8 and 4/10. And I stick a dollar sign in front of that and add a zero. That looks like $8.40. Okay, so sometimes I like to think of my decimals as money. So I have 8 and 4/10, followed by, which one would come next? Kaylee? 8.5, which is 8 and 5/10, and then the biggest one here is 8 and 9/10. Okay, so that's what that one would look like. All right, let me erase this and let's look at our next example. All right, so I have three numbers here and I need to order them from least to greatest. Okay, least to greatest. So I have 3 and 3/5, 4 and 5/10, and 3 and 9/10. Right away, I know which one is going to be the biggest just looking at my whole number spot. Which one of these is the largest of the bunch, Devin? 4 and 5/10. Yes, this one is the largest of the bunch because this one has 4 whole and these other ones are only 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put that at the end. All right, now we have 3 and 3/5 and 3 and 9/10. If we think back to what 3/5 is as a decimal, 3/5 is equivalent to how many tenths? 3/5 is equivalent to how many tenths, Colton? 6/10. I know that 3/5 and 6/10 are equivalent fractions. And since this is a base 10 fraction, then I say this fraction and I write the decimal exactly as it sounds. So 6/10 would be written as 6/10. And since 3/5 is equivalent to 6/10, that is also how I write 3/5 as a decimal. So 3 and 3/5 is going to be 3 and 6/10. Okay. The other way that you can change a fraction to a decimal, and this works every single time, is you can take 3 and divide it by 5. Sorry, I'm trying to erase this quickly. So I will show you really quickly what 3 divided by 5 is. That's what 3/5 means. This means 3 divided by 5. So 3 whole divided by 5, I know I'm not going to get a whole number because I only have 3 whole. So I'm going to essentially take 3 whole, and I'm going to add a decimal point and a 0 right here. And 3.0 is still 3 whole, but what I'm doing is I'm taking 3 whole and breaking each of those up into tenths. So I have 10 tenths, 10 tenths, and 10 tenths, which equals 3 whole. That's 30 tenths. If I said 30 tenths, that's still 3, correct? Yes, this is still 3. So when I say 3 and 0 tenths, I'm really looking at this and saying, I have 30 tenths to work with. That decimal point is going to go up here. And 30 divided by 5 is what? Anybody? 6. Okay, so 30 divided by 5 is 6. So if I had 30 tenths and divided it by 5, divided those by 5, I would have 6 tenths in each group. So 6 times 5 is 30, and that's how the division works. So I know that 3/5 is 0.6 or 0 and 6 tenths. All right, so anyways, so back here. So if 3 and 3/5 is also the same as 3 and 6 tenths, then I can now compare 3 and 6 tenths with 3 and 9 tenths, and I know that 3 and 3/5 is smaller than 3 and 9 tenths. Okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to a more difficult, skip ahead to a more difficult example, one with an improper fraction. And I'm not really sure how much practice you got with that last year in 4th grade, since last year ended in a crazy way. So let me skip down to, let's skip a level. All right, jump a level, and let's go ahead and jump another level and see what we got going on here. Okay, so now I've got 4 sets, or 4 numbers in my set, and I'm going least to greatest, and I have 1 and 3 tenths, 1 and 56 hundredths, 3 halves, okay? This is improper, and 11 eighths, which is also improper, okay? So we have to tackle those first. So like I said, I'm not really sure, like, what did you work with improper fractions last year in 4th grade? A little bit. Okay. So what this means is I have a numerator that is bigger than my denominator. So I have enough halves to give me at least 1 whole. Okay. So if I had 3 halves, I could draw a picture of that. And I would have, there's 1 half, there's 2 halves, there's 3 halves. Okay, so 3 halves as a mixed number is, Andrew, 1 and 1/2. Okay, so 3 halves is 1 and 1/2. And let's go ahead and write 1 and 1/2 as a decimal. What's 1 and 1/2? How would you write 1 and a half as a decimal? Kaylee? There you go, 1 and 5 tenths. Okay, so 3 halves is the same thing as 1 and 5 tenths, or we can say that's 1 and a half. All right, and then we have 11 eighths. Okay, so I have enough eighths to make 1 whole. Every time I think about eighths, I think about pizza. So if you had, let's say you had a birthday party, and you know how sometimes when you have a bunch of different pizzas, and then you're cleaning up and you combine the pizzas. You take all the pieces left over from each box and you put them together. Okay. So if I had 11 slices of pizza left, I have enough to make a whole pizza. Okay, because it's going to take 8 slices to make a whole pizza, and I have 11 slices. So what this means really is 11 divided by 8. So a couple different ways that you can think about this. You can actually divide it if you wanted to, and you could say 11 divided by 8, and that's going to give you one whole. 1 times 8 is 8. 11 minus 8 is 3. And this leftover, this remainder of a 3 is going to be the numerator of my fraction. I'm not going to be able to fit that in there, so we're just going to abbreviate. Okay, so this 1 is my whole number. So 11 eighths is 1 whole and 3 eighths. All right, that's what that means. The leftover is your numerator, and the 8, which was our denominator, is going to stay an 8. So 11 eighths is the same thing as 1 and 3 eighths. You can also think of it like this. If I had 11 eighths, 8 eighths is going to make 1 whole, and 11 minus 8 is 3, so I would have 3 eighths left over. Okay. So now we have 1 and 3 eighths. So this improper fraction looks like that as a mixed number. And over here we have 1 and 3 tenths, and I'm going to make that a decimal just like that. So our eighths, how would you write your eighths as a fraction? Does anybody remember what 1/8 is as a decimal? We talked about that on Tuesday. We said 1/8 is half of a quarter. And if you had half of a quarter, you would have how many cents? And then we take that and we turn it into a decimal. Andrew? 0.125. Yep, 0 and 125 thousandths is 1/8. So 3/8 is going to be, let me get rid of this. If 1/8 is 0 and 125 thousandths, 3/8 is going to be 3 of that amount. Okay, so let me say that again. I'll write it down here. If 1/8, oops, oh my goodness. If 1/8 is equivalent to this, then 3/8 is going to be 1, 2, 3 of those. So 125, 125, 125. Colton. Yes. So 3/8 is going to be 0.375 or 375 thousandths. So what we've done is we have taken 11 eighths, that simple improper fraction, we've turned it into a mixed number, and now we have looked at it as if it were 1 and 375 thousandths. So now everything is in decimal form. Okay, everything is in decimal form. So we're going least to greatest. All right, everything has a 1 as a whole number. So 1, 1, 1, 1. That's not helping us out. So now we got to compare the tens place. So we have a 3 in the tens place. We have a 5 in the tens place. We have another 5 in the tens place, and we have another 3 in the tens place. So, these guys with the 3 in the 10th place are going to be our smallest. So we have 1 and 3 tenths, and then we have 1 and 375 thousandths. So this one is going to be our smallest. If I put zeros at the end of this, that would be 1/300,000, which is going to be the smallest. So this is going to go next. And then we have 1/5600, and this is just 1/5. So this is just slightly smaller than that. Okay. So that is a lot of work to do to figure out the order. Okay. So let's do one more of these, and then we can, let's see, this one's kind of easy. All right, let me erase this. We'll talk about this, and then I want to get one that has another improper fraction in it. So la-di-da-di-da. All right. So we have 4. I always look at the ones place first. Okay. 4, 4, 5, 4. So which one is my greatest? Kaylee. 5/900 is going to be, I'm going greatest to least. So that's going to be first. Okay. And then I've got 4/4900, 4/4800, and 4 1/4, or 4 1/4 is going to look like what as a decimal, Andrew? Right, 4 and 25 hundredths. Okay, so now we can think about this all as money. $4.25, $4.49, $4.48. So that's going to stay there. That's it. That's the order, right? Yep. 5 and 9 hundredths, 4 and 49 hundredths, 4 and 48 hundredths, and this is 4 and 25 hundredths. That one was easy. All right. Let's see. Greatest to least again. I'm going to do this one really quickly. And then let's see if I get one of those mixed ones. No. I wonder if I can skip another level. Oh, am I in the challenge zone? Yeek. All right, this one looks scary. This one looks scary, but it's not that hard. Okay, let's look at this one because everything is almost all in decimal form, which I find easier to compare. Least to greatest. So I'm looking for those whole numbers, 38, 37, 38, 38, 38. So that makes this the smallest. 38.5 is 38 and 5/10. If we wanted to make it just like these guys, we could add 2 zeros to the end. Oh, excuse me. All right. This one has a 0 in the tenths place, so I know that's going to stay here. This one would have a 5 in the tenths place, so that's going to stay there. And then I just need to flip-flop these two. All right. Oh, gosh. Okay, here's a hard one. I'm in the challenge zone? Okay, so you know how I say your SMART score should be a 90? This is part of the reason why I allow you to go ahead and stop at 90. Okay. This one is a little crazy. So what you would do for that, okay. So greatest to least, 995, 995. You are not going to have anything this extreme, like on a test or anything. Huh? Well, IXL is just like extra practice, but you're not going to have anything this extreme in my class. Okay. But this is good practice. So let's talk about this improper fraction. Okay. It's very improper. I lost my pen thing. There it is. All right. Here we go. Okay. So let's talk about this. This means